Governor, tell me about events like this one as far as your efforts to make Colorado into the kind of a place, not just that has a lot of renewable energy, but one that lures these kind of companies.
Yeah, I think it's an ecosystem that's about clean energy. So renewable energy is a part of that, and this is certainly a renewable energy project. But developing the ecosystem was trying to make the case that we as a state could be this hub. We could also lay down a template for the country. We have some of the best research and development in the world around renewable energy, but energy generally. We've focused on energy efficiency measures. We've done what we call the greening of government. We certainly have tried to inspire the building out of renewable energy facilities, but also lured companies in here to create jobs. I think so much of the conversation about energy is about climate, about cap and trade, those kinds of things, and really there's a bipartisan hitch to this conversation if people want to really listen to it, where you can create jobs doing it and you can really reduce imports from other places that are energy imports like fuel if we focused on doing these kinds of things.
How does a governor lure these kinds of companies to locate here? Why Colorado?
Well, you have to start by asking what actually government can do, because the private sector ultimately is going to make or break any kind of an economic development strategy. For us, it was 57 different bills that we signed that support a clean energy future. So 57 bills over 4 years, developing an aggressive renewable energy standard, allowing net metering so people who have distributed generation at their home can actually roll their meter back and get paid for loading onto the grid if they have excess they're producing in their home. I mean, you can just go through 57 different kinds of ways that we thought about clean energy and saying what's the public policy support, and then making that case to the private sector. When we signed the first bill that took our renewable energy standard for investor-owned utilities to 20%, that was in the first 100 days that I was governor, and we immediately sort of won. Vestas decided to locate their first manufacturing plant here because of that. So companies pay attention.
And then you up that to 30%.
Well, we went to 30% for investor-owned utilities. It's 10% for rural electric associations, municipal utilities, but that's big, right, to have 30%. And I think one of the amazing things about it, Susan, is that the utility agreed. And the utility was opposed to a 10% renewable energy standard in 2004. They've come to the place where they understand the ability to do this, the wisdom in doing it, and I think people now understand better than they ever have the job creation element that's a part of this, that allows your economy to participate not only because you're producing green energy, participate in sort of a clean energy economy. It allows you to say, we can bring companies in from all over the world into Colorado because of it.
Colorado is 4th in the country in clean energy jobs. Have these 57 bills been integral in that?
Oh yes, and again, when I started as governor, I think there wasn't much of a leadership focus on that. And so we had some clean energy jobs. We had the Renewable Energy Laboratory, but we really have been aggressive about that. So SMA Solar, it's a German company and one of the largest inverter manufacturers in the world, and they only manufactured in Germany. When they looked in the United States and asked where were they going to locate their manufacturing plant, where were they going to create jobs, it was Colorado. And again, it's because of what we've done. And those are just two examples. We have...
But what did you do that made a German company want to come to this state?
I think the fact is that they're near some of the best research and development in the whole world around energy and energy development. We have a variety of different ways to inspire the build out of energy, so there's going to be a lot of manufacturing and production here.
Tax credits,
and then we have some tax credits. Yeah, we have a variety of different tax credits and tax incentives, but quite frankly, it is the federal tax credits that probably would help us even more, right, to build out manufacturing jobs. I think, when companies are looking, they want an educated workforce, but they want a workforce that is going to be able to do the kinds of things that their industry demands. And the workforce demands of a clean energy economy are different than the workforce demands of 30 years ago. And we're trying to educate that. We have a community college program here that has green job certificates across the state, first state in the country to have that. And a variety of private colleges that now have moved here and are only about educating people for this green energy future.
So, Governor, 57 energy bills. Not a bad record for clean energy.
That's not a bad record. It was over 4 years, and it was we stair-stepped it. We started on some things a little smaller, and then as we proved the case, as we showed that we could do it, then we got to sort of a bigger place, a place people would not have imagined at the beginning we could get to.
57 bills, what are you most proud of?
So I think there's a couple of things. Our renewable energy standard is 30% for investor-owned utilities. That's about 65% of the power in Colorado. Our coal to natural gas bill, that really, we called it Clean Air, Clean Jobs. We had the most amazing group of stakeholders. We had people from the fossil fuel industries, particularly natural gas, and the environmentalists, and the utility, and my office directing it, all working together on it.
Now that ended up shutting down or trying to transition some of the oldest coal plants.
That's right. It'll be 3 or 4 of the oldest inefficient coal plants that will transition to natural gas. One of the things about coal, there's a lot of attention paid to carbon, but coal emissions also include mercury, include nitrogen oxide and sulfur dioxide.
And a lot of that act was about those particulates.
Those emissions. Natural gas emissions do not include mercury. There are a lot of places in the West where you can't eat fish out of the lake, or at least there has to be a warning because of the level of mercury in the fish. And that's just one example, but a reason why we felt it's really important to begin this transition of coal to natural gas. And if there's a way to provide clean coal, then we'll look for it, and we'll try and invent it, we'll find it. But the fact of the matter is we have 100 years worth of natural gas. This transition can help us on emissions, and it's really a public health issue as much as it is anything else. Over time, as a country, we're going to pay serious attention to emissions, and this 80% by 2050 will be sort of the standard for the country.
Wow, it sounds ambitious today, but we hope we get there. Let me ask you, you mentioned the rest of the country, and I just wanted to, I'm sure this isn't lost on you. Colorado is so big, it has so many resources, of the fossil fuels straight through to renewable energy sources. It's truly a microcosm of what this country is facing. Same kind of battles with the different industries, the same kind of obstacles, and the same kind of a critical need to move to this transition.
Yeah, we do think Colorado is this great template, and not just because of the resources, both the renewable resources and the fossil fuel resources. We also have great research and development, and can demonstrate how having research and development sort of at the core of what you do in the energy world is really important for us to compete around the world. But we understand, like I said, coal is a resource that we rely upon very heavily, and probably going to be that for a good while. Natural gas, like a lot of other places, the play of natural gas in Colorado, we know so much more about it. The technology to get at it is so much better. We revised our rules to make sure we were environmentally sound, and now we're promoting natural gas in a very big way. And then we're a very sunny state, a windy state. We have geothermal. It should be about all of that. Right. It shouldn't be like we're sitting here picking winners and losers, except on the emissions front, just to make sure that we're thinking about how we reduce emissions in a way that responds and respects the public health. But other than that, it should be about what's the cheapest, most efficient, best way to get power to the home and do it in a clean way.
Do you feel like you've made good progress in incorporating all of that?
I do. I feel like we've changed the conversation. Say, listen, in a state that is as sunny as Colorado or as windy as parts of Colorado, why aren't we using renewable resources to power homes or businesses differently? And I think we have. I mean, to get to a 30% renewable energy standard changes the conversation. Mm-hmm. Where I think may have made the most impact is to say, and by the way, we can create jobs doing that. That this is also, in a down economy, a sector where we've seen jobs grow because we've had an emphasis on clean energy. It's the case we can make to Congress. It's the case that we can make to other legislatures around the country, that a clean economy doesn't have to be this zero-sum game where if you add, if you do things that move you in the direction of clean energy, that you actually are going to hurt your economy. Well, we found ways to do both.
What do you say to those who say this has been a real job killer in the coal mining industry and elsewhere?
Well, that's an industry. So far, it actually hasn't. That's not been the thing that has impacted coal. The downturn certainly has impacted a lot of industries. If there is no way for us to burn coal and do it in a way that reduces the emissions that we presently experience, then the industry is going to likely suffer. So that's one industry, but the dramatic, increases that we've had. We have one company that moved here, 2,600 jobs, $1 billion of investment. They build wind turbines, Vestas Wind Systems. That's one company. We have it on the solar front. We have it on the research and development front. ConocoPhillips is building its global research facility for renewable and alternative fuels in Colorado because we've built this ecosystem. And I'm just ticking off a few. The list is really long.
And the number of jobs is larger than those being lost?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's larger than the numbers that will be lost in the industry.
So some of the critics say that the renewables are being promoted at the expense of coal and coal jobs, like when plants close, like in Arapahoe and on the western slope.
Well, if you think about the difference between a renewable electron and an electron produced from coal, I mean, the public health consequences of continuing to burn coal, continuing to emit carbon, nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, mercury, they're just very significant compared to a windmill or a solar plant. And so for me, the most important thing is ratepayers. Trying to do all we can to protect ratepayers, but we've created a variety of really significant jobs, and there's going to be probably some give and take as a result of transitioning to a clean energy economy, but it's what we have to do. There's a real imperative around this that's about something more than just does one industry gain when another one loses something. What we need is an energy policy that at some level is integrated with the climate policy. That's what I think we need. And you can get that through a renewable energy standard bill. You can also get it through a low carbon bill. What we found is by having a renewable energy standard, we've actually attracted companies, we've attracted manufacturing, we've created jobs, and that's how people ought to look at this.
Is that one of your proudest accomplishments?
There are families who have a different quality of life because we were able to bring significant companies into Colorado or grow those companies here. There are engineering students coming out of University of Colorado who have jobs in an industry that didn't exist really 20 years ago, and they're able to look kind of forward and say, this is going to be sustainable. This is going to last over time because it's a 21st century industry.
If you were to sum up your energy legacy here, how would you sum up your energy legacy?
Well, what I think is we've left a lot to build upon, where it's a completely different place than where we started, and we've made the case that you can really achieve energy security in this country by looking at domestic sources, including a more serious attention paid to natural gas and renewables and energy efficiency, that's all part of it. So that's energy security. But if you do that, then you can create jobs doing it, which is a really important thing for people across this country, including governors and presidents and Congress. And you can, and a residual benefit, a big residual benefit, is you wind up addressing climate issues and environmental challenges. And you can get it all with one focus on a clean energy economy. You get all of those things.
Will you stay in energy circles, you think?
Well, I hope so. I have a variety of conversations that I'm having about my next life after being governor, and I do hope that I'll have the ability. I don't think I don't think we've done an adequate job as the political leaders in America of impressing upon people what an important issue this is and how important it is for us to change the way we think about it and really the way we behave around it.